I'm gonna be Mary Jo today. We all know how I hate to be in front of the camera, but, you know, what can I say?
You look good.
Talk to those folks at home.
This week, let's see, Wednesday, we're doing a special healing circle with ISC with Miss Jacqueline Gregory, who's gonna be leading it on this week, so we're happy about that. Let's see, I forget what all we're, Friday night is Victoria's doing her channeling, her gallery night. She hadn't done it in a while, so that'd be a lot of fun. Saturday, Tom is doing his class, and it is identify and utilize subtle energies during these challenging times. Tongue twister. And that's gonna be from 2 to 4 p.m. And we've got a special announcement coming, beginning, I believe, at the end of this month. I'm not sure, you would probably know. Teresa, it's bad news and good news. The bad news is Teresa is closing down the healing classroom over on Scott Street. Kate Flynn, the chiropractor that she's in with, is going in with a different doctor, so so the good news is that she's coming over here.
Yes.
So we're excited about having Teresa here, and she's gonna be doing readings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then her ceremonies, her classes and things. So, and she'll be able to help out in the store, so we're excited about that.
That's great.
And you wanna do the
Yes.
prayer?
Are there
Go
any
ahead.
prayer requests today? We got Crystal on there. Okay. Any
Put Curl and Jackie and John.
Illuminations.
Sheila and Tommy,
I was just trying to remember.
and I have another one, and I can't remember right now who it is.
That's all we need.
And an unspoken, because I can't remember right now.
For my dog Rascal.
Yes. For Betty and for me.
Thank you.
Oliver and Kate.
I think for everybody here.
Thank you.
Thank
For everybody that's not here.
for everybody that's not here?
And our four-leggeds, every one of them.
And the Cherokee Nation.
Oh, absolutely.
Victoria and Randy.
And the
Mary
Lakotas.
Jo.
The Lakotas.
It's just an everyone.
Our country.
The election
Yes.
process that wraps up this week, right?
I mean, a triple dose for them, everybody on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did a thing yesterday at the Crystal Conference, and Gillian said, for political peace.
The schools and everybody.
Peace is what we need.
Children.
Anyone else? Well, we're gonna wait just a second because I see Barry coming in.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Oh, we've got a couple more. Michelle, look, we've got our 2
We
seats.
can do it.
Come on in, you all. Perfect
Stay
timing.
there and I'll scoot, get up.
Oh, it's a circle.
We need more chairs.
No, we're good.
We're good.
Is this taken?
It's free.
Oh, thank you.
There's one there.
Good morning, everyone. All
Morning.
familiar faces today. Would you mind just for a second, because we just finished, not to put you on the spot, but
No,
just
of
for a
course
second. We were doing some announcements, and since we just had this week was our first kind of official board meeting for moving ISC forward. And our official board members right now are Wendy, Mary Jo, who's not here, Victoria, Barry, and myself. And I thought it would just be cool just for a second to share kind of what we talked about in the
Not to be on the spot.
about the process, our first important step that we're undertaking right now.
Yeah, we met over at Mary Jo's and in the evening, and it was great. There was a lot of sharing and discussing of ideas. We started with, started talking through how do we go about this transformation? And what is it gonna look like? How's it gonna work? All those complicated things, you know, that I personally don't like to get involved with, because I just kind of like to go with the flow, but.
Too late now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like they used to say, jumper, it's too late, prepare to land. So, we worked through some things called the fundamental questions, which is kind of a way of organizing your thoughts around some simple questions that are easy to say, but they're extraordinarily difficult to answer. So we worked through a couple of them, and you want me to, bless you?
You don't have to go through all that unless you want to, but I was thinking the importance of where we kind of went with that was leading us to focusing on forming the 501(c)(3)
Yes.
nonprofit status as being kind of top priority on our list.
And so, I mean, I looked into that a little bit and I talked to an attorney. This is not something for a 501(c)(3) that happens immediately. It takes some time, so we have, and obviously, you know, you can pay an attorney or somebody to do it, but there's a lot of good free stuff that's out there. In fact, there happens to be a not-for-profit helper in Chattanooga that helps put things together, and they've got a great, you know, online piece. So that became one of our central focuses, so that we had something to coalesce everything around. So that's kind of the way ahead.
So it's
Does that answer your
exciting.
question?
Yeah, just bringing that, letting all you know that are in the community that's kind of our priority right now, because once we do that, it kind of allows us to do all the other things that are on the list with ease and grace, which include a space and those kind of things, and that's kind of all in transition. We're just kind of flowing with it, and that was just like the very first most important thing. So I want to just let you all know that is in process, and if anyone in the community knows or has, you know, any experience with anything, please step forward and say, hey, I know how to do this, or I've done this before, and come and talk to one of us, and we'll, you know, invite you to engage with us and see how that can be supportive. So,
And in the interim, we have this blessed space,
yes.
which is great.
And as we become our own legal entity, that will allow us a lot of other choices and decisions. But we felt it was really important that everybody understand that we are moving to become our own legal entity, so that there's a differentiation between Illuminations, the retail store, and the Illuminated Spirit community, the gathering that we have here twice a week. So that confusion, we hope, will dissipate. Yeah.
So we're excited about that.
Yes,
So
very.
wanted to put that out there. So today, I want to tell you all, just before we kind of jump off and do the official prayer, sending that out, I've had an amazing week of different experiences. On Friday, it was kind of this random thing. One of our community members asked me to go to Whirlpool and teach laughter yoga with just a totally different body of folks. It was really fascinating. I had a great time, and it really brought an uplifted energy over there. And then yesterday, I had the opportunity to take a breath medicine workshop with a dear person that I know, who is just an amazing breath worker, and learned some really deepening stuff. I've been practicing actively breath work for about 10 years, and this just like clicked a lot of things together. So I want to share some of this with you today, some different things. So I guess that's why we ended up in a circle. I love how that works out. So let's start. Let's all take just one nice deep breath, and then I'm going to do the prayer. So here we go. Nice full deep inhale all the way into your belly. beloved divine light, source, our beloved angels, our beloved guides and helpers in the universe, we call upon you not only to support this day and this beautiful unfolding of the gathering we're having here this Sunday morning, but also to send out and surround this list of beautiful people, situations, etc., with the light of clarity, the light of peace. That whatever's going on in each one of these beloveds' lives, that it may be illuminated to bring new awareness and peace into their lives and into all of our lives. We thank you for always being here with us, always being here with us, and for helping us to remember that and to experience that in our lives. And so it is. We're going to do a little bit of sound healing to start. Today's topic, over the last 3 weeks, I've been having these interweavings of the idea of joy and what it means. And it's interesting because this has been coming up all over the place. Like, didn't you all do a goddess night the other night with joy? And it's been coming up through a lot of different synchronicities. Some of you know that I'm doing a Kundalini Yoga teacher training program right now. So these books that are coming up to read for that, and these other books that are coming up just out of the blue for me to read, and all these topics are just kind of surfacing, and it's been really beautiful to see the unfolding of that. As a matter of fact, to kick us off, I was driving back from Asheville yesterday, and this little quote popped into my head. It was like, what is joy? You know, we think about joy. We think sometimes about joy when you're out in your day and you see joyful people. You see them smiling, happy. You know, sometimes it's really high energy. You know, like joy. But this is what came to me. Joy is the ability to embody the freedom of what you are created from. Joy is the expression or state of being, or an embodiment of true freedom from the inside out. So I've been really thinking about joy and freedom, the interconnection of those two, because without freedom, you can't really necessarily experience authentic joy. And what is authentic joy? I want to kind of throw this out there for us to think about a little bit and put that in the energy out there. I think we have an external expression of joy, and we have an inward state of joy that transcends all of kind of the way that we emote. It's just a state of being. So joy is a state of being, and then joy that sometimes humanly that we go out and experience, you know, or you see people all happy and jumping around and, you know, just expressing happiness. And it's really, I've been thinking a lot about, what about joy if you just feel joyful without all of that emoting? What is that like? What does that inner state of joy really feel like? What is it? How do you attain it? How do you embody that? I think embodiment is kind of the key word here. Not channeling it, but embodying it. Being joy. What does that mean? So on this journey, it's really taken me to look at what are the things that disallow us from feeling that state of joy. And the first thing that really came up in the questioning process for me was, you can't really reach that state of joy or freedom unless if you first feel a sense of peace. Have to kind of reach peace before you can reach to joy. Does everybody kind of feel that thought? Can you relate to that thought? That until you have a state of peacefulness or pleasantness about your life or whatever's going on, and I'm not talking about a transient state of peace where, you know, maybe someone passes in your family, maybe you have different kind of tragedies that come up. I'm talking about a deeper kind of piece here that weaves through all of that. That's when you can embody this peace that transcends all of the ups and downs of life. And it's different. There's the external state, just as we were saying with joy, but then there's an external state of peace, but then there's an internal state of peace. And they're two different things in my book. You know, we can show that we're peaceful. We can put on a facade of peace. We can think peace. But to really anchor in peace, we have to go deeper. It means mining beyond, you know, the obvious things in our life. You know, maybe on a human level, having our car payment taken care of, our food, you know, our basic needs brings us a state of peace. But there's also a deeper level there. Those are the basic human needs. And if those basic needs are taken care of, that allows us to reach these deeper levels and states of peace, where when a catastrophe comes up in our life, we're able to embody that energy regardless of a health crisis, regardless of a financial crisis, regardless of, you know, a family crisis or someone passing on, someone that we dearly love. And what does that look like? Everyone, I'm sure, has had experiences where you have a catastrophe or something happens and you lose it, or you just feel completely not peaceful. Right? So this is a really powerful topic, and I'm going to open the floor a little bit today to talk. I want some interaction today, because I think it's really important that in order to find, before we get to joy, we're gonna dive into this peace. You know, what does that look like for each one of you? You know, if you were to go about your day, start your day and start it from this anxious place, what's going to happen?
I've been dealing with this. I've been in Boston saving my family for the last couple of months, because they're in the process of renovating a house and moving, and it's been extremely intense. And my daughter-in-law tends to flip out really easily because my son has not been there, and she's had to handle the little kids on her own while he's working a full-time job and renovating the house. So he's sleeping 2 or 3 hours a night, and she's having meltdowns. So this has been, me being there, taking care of everything, she's happy. So for me, it was about, okay, how can I be a messenger of, you can't control the circumstances, but you can control the way you respond to them. That's really the only thing we have control over, is the way we respond to circumstances. And what I've been working on, going there, knowing there was going to be a whole lot of stuff to deal with, is I'm here to serve and not to judge. And then, of course, the judgments come up, because you see, this isn't fair, you know, and all of our stuff, and it's not about any of that. So I found I was like constantly having to shift and to forgive and not hold on to what I think is right or wrong or good or bad or anything. And it was amazing. Me being centered changed everyone around me. And it was interesting, because in the beginning of their project, this has been going on for 3 months, they were supposed to move the end of August, the house wasn't ready, the end of July, the end of September, the end of, they finally moved into an unfinished house, really camping in their new house. But it was remarkable. When they were in the flow, everything came to them. And when the energy was blocked, nothing got done, from the electricians and the plumbers, and everything was confusing. So when I held the peace and forgave, and everyone around me did the same thing, miracles were happening all over the place.
So would you say that peace, one of the things, is really being able to look at your belief systems and go, what do I believe about what's going on here?
Yes, and to me, it's really not judging. And it's so hard not to because of our beliefs, but to let go. It's about letting go and allowing people to have their own experience, but it's about not getting hooked in or plugged in.
No, welcome. So what is peace to somebody else? What does peace mean to you?
Well, and I'm gonna continue on that because the healing session that was here on Wednesday night, it just came to, organically, I'm here to be healed, but during that time, I just let go of resentment. And yeah, it was, and people, I had to let it go, and I would just picture the people in my mind, send them love, let it go. And I have been peace, so that was something that brought me peace. Had nothing to do with the people who, they're just doing the best they can, but I'm holding resentment, so when I let that go, I was so much happier. And that one more step towards joy. So, and yesterday I just played a little bit. I had some things to do, and I just said, I'm just gonna play. And that's kept me going, but I've also kept that resentment. I'm working on not letting that build back up. Because there's going to be people in our lives that just, we don't get along with, but, they're just doing the best job they can. So that goes back to not judging, but don't hold it in,
Right.
Let it go. And it's hard to do. It's hard to send love to someone who's really, really making you angry, but you can do it, and it helps.
I'd like to build on that one and that one. I left California a good bit because my house had a series of insurance claims, and I was continually living in a destruction zone for 5 years. And it can drive you mad. While you were speaking, the word surrender kept coming to my mind. And then right before you said the word flow, I knew surrender had another part. It was surrender to the flow. And had I not been in such a state of shock and trauma during those 4 years, had I actually surrendered more to the flow of what was happening, I don't think it would have been as destructive psychologically and mentally and in every way as it was. But now that I look back on it, I could have probably had more joy if I hadn't been so resentful against the insurance company and the fact that that's what all of them do. They try not to pay your claims. And I wound up going to court. In the 1% that actually does make it to court, most people just give up. But I've earned my gray hair. That's how I look at it. But surrender to the flow, I think, for me, kind of applies to almost everything in life that I might be picking my nails about or wanting to scream inside my body about if I'll just remember to give it up.
Yeah, what I found is that when I try and control everything, there's only one limited outcome. But if I surrender to the flow, it works out so much better. Perfectly, all these energies happen that I could never think of, but it's like the universe takes care of everything. But I'm blocking it by my resentment, or my need to control, or my judgments, or,
We get no brains.
right, the way I think it should be because I'm right. It's so interesting.
Were you going to say something?
we were just discussing this on Saturday in the shaman class. And part of that teaching is to work your way around the medicine wheel, and to begin that purpose at the south, which is really exactly what we're talking about here, is how to achieve that state of peace, and then the joy that really supersedes any kind of understanding. And at the beginning in that tradition is something that's called erasing your story, which essentially is just give it up, you know, just give up those places where you have dug in because you're right, or it is the thing to do. And when you do that, then you can move from the south to the west, which is called making friends with death. And what we discussed Saturday was what does that look like? And of course, death refers to our physical bodies and our limitations here, but it's also death to those aspects of ourselves that we hold on to, or those judgments, or those resentments, or those emotions, or those things that are preventing us. And then the spirit behind that is what's important. Because none of us are going to be able to do the checklist in our heads of, okay, I got rid of that, that's not human to be able to maintain that. But to look at the spirit behind it of what's at work in me that is causing me to dig my heels in, or causing me to stay in that space. And that's the letting go you're talking about, where you have the sense that it's an aspect or spirit of a certain situation, and you can bang your head on the wall, you know, forever. We've been banging the head on the wall at our house for years now. But eventually your head starts to hurt, and you say, oh my gosh, there's got to be a different way. And so the teachings, the shamanic teachings are that you start with yourself. You have to start with yourself, with your journey. And then you can move from your inner things to the death, and see death as an ally. And if you begin to welcome the fact that you got to give stuff up, and that there are other aspects that are at work here, then it's much easier to move into the peace of the situation and the honor of the situation. And that's really what you were talking about as well, to honor your daughter-in-law who's melting down, but not to disrespect her and to not judge her. And I think those things have to happen on a level that's sort of behind the scenes. The spirit of that has to happen before you can move into what you're talking about, which is pure joy, not momentary joy, but that space of joyfulness where you're just in that. And that's oneness for me. That's oneness. That's being completely aware that I am not an island, and I am not queen of the universe either, that I am one with life on this planet. And I agree to this, you know, so like just get off myself, you know, and I can just get over it. I agree to it. And then get to that space where I can feel the energy of oneness with others. And that allows me to move into peace.
Cool. Anyone else?
Question.
Mm-hmm.
So is peace a reaction, or is it a state of mind? Because if you surrender to peace out of a place of surrender, is that what creates true peace? Because you can also kind of reach, I guess, a temporary state of peace if you surrender out of fear. Or does that create the same peace? Because I guess people have a lot of reasons and a lot of different kinds of peace, momentary or not. So is it more of a state of mind you have to carry with yourself? Or is it a reaction you can have to certain things?
What I'm hearing from, there's talking about the external versus internal, like external states of peace versus a state of being that comes from somewhere deep within, that if you didn't have your physical body right now, it would be the same. It's the physicality of us and the things that we get caught in our human minds and our emotions that are not the essence or the source energy of us per se, that get us all out of whack. We get, and that was a perfect kind of lead in, because what I've been thinking about a lot is what really holds us back the most is the human aspects of ourself that we maybe don't know how to respond with, how to work through. Many of us have different trauma type of experiences from childhood, or could have just happened yesterday, and it shocks our nervous system. So a different little spectrum in here from what I've been working in a lot through the yogic and process, which is we sometimes forget in our human selves that our nervous system in this human body locks onto something and is constantly playing out the same thing, kind of like the story thing that you were talking about. But it's happening on such a level that without being able to calm self enough or have help or support to get to calm to that state, because that's not a state of peace, that's a state within your human body that keeps playing over and over. It's this energy that's just playing out. So it's like, how do you access, if you don't know what it is, but you know that it's hard to find a place of peace whenever a certain situation keeps knocking at your door or keeps coming around over and over again? What is that arises within us in those moments that keeps us from being able to feel peaceful? And one of the things that is so powerful with allowing ourselves to access that part within is the breath. Coming back, we take our first breath when we come into our bodies and our last one when we leave, and we forget that our breath is kind of a conduit to our nervous system. And I know we talk about, and I talk about and mention breath a lot, but we just talk about it on the most surface level that there is a lot of times, and we feel it. What if you could think about the breath and that ability of bringing in as that connection to that part of yourself that is keeping you from feeling peaceful or at a state of being peace? One thing that I experienced yesterday through that basic balancing breath where you just inhale a full deep and an exhale, and doing that in this rhythmic state, it naturally brings up those states if you're willing to go there. It's just natural. It's like if we breathe, we have access, and sometimes we need to do it a little more consciously, we have access immediately to those different states within our nervous system and our human physicality that keep us away from peace. And a lot of them are learned traumatic things that happened along the way. So in thinking about that and inviting all of you to really, through these energies that we're moving through right now, because is there anyone here that is not experiencing times of chaos or feeling overwhelmed?
Feeling it right now.
Well, guess what? That is the nervous system going, ah! So if we learn to breathe through these states, and sometimes we need help breathing through these states because we feel all of the pain coming to the surface in the moment, but if we can continue to breathe through it, the breath has this amazing ability to transcend the state if you keep breathing through it. So thinking about peace, sometimes we just get stuck in the human stuff. And it's really that simple. We make it more complicated a lot of times than it really is. And one of the things that yoga is teaching me on, it's taken this stuff to such a deep level. It's reminding me how we really are just this. It's an embodiment of light, but this physical body is the only thing really that keeps us from experiencing our light if we allow it. that's part of it. The mind, body, that whole physicality aspect.
Well, what I like to try to do is, oh, here she comes. I try to, like, from the Course in Miracles, in my meditation, I bring up a person that has irritated me or somebody who I want need to forget, and myself along with it. And I do that in my meditation. And that's how I get let go and am able to be more peaceful.
So can we break down what you're doing? You're bringing up, you're accessing, you're with intent, you're going to this energy of whatever it may be, resentment, unforgiveness. You're bringing it up, looking at it. Then when you do that, you're telling your nervous system to bring that up. And then if you're continuing to breathe through that while you're going through it, you can reprogram it in the moment if you're willing. And sometimes that can be really challenging if it brings up a lot of feelings. But that's exactly the simple process. Sometimes we need help with it, and sometimes you can do it on your own. But really feeling very powerful today to remind all of you that the key to working through this time, this is the transition into the Aquarian age, which is all about the things the resistance that's coming up within us all, in our own ways, is we've got to breathe through it. We've got to continue to move through it, because it's the lack and the limitation that's holding us back from stepping into the visionaries of our time, this new, powerful energy. And everyone feels it. Everyone's feeling this new coming togetherness in your own way. Us just sitting here every Sunday, and that's a part of that. We're coming together. But it's so important to remember through the day to utilize your source given through your human physical body to access that healing, which is available to you all the time. And our minds, you brought up the mind. How do you deal with the mind when it starts going nuts?
What I do, I had a very intense experience. My daughter died, and everyone around me was telling me it was a tragedy. And I knew she was in a great place. And in a way, I knew that she was in a whole lot better place than we were. But I could resonate with, oh, what a tragedy. When I resonated with that, it was really depressing. When I resonated with, I was listening to a lot of the Esther Hicks at the time, and they were talking a lot about death, and it was the most glorious experience that anyone could experience, where everything, all limitations and everything were gone, and we were merged into a sea of perfection and glory that we couldn't imagine as physical beings. So I chose to focus on that, because that made me feel good. I focused on what a tragedy, I felt crappy. So I learned how to shift. How do I feel? And at that point, it was like the rug was taken out from, it's like my daughter was 19, so this was 20 years ago. And it was like everything, there was no bearing. So I chose to feel the way I wanted to feel and not let other people influence my thoughts. And anyone who wasn't on the same plane of seeing it the way I did, like there were people who were really angry, like her godfather's parents died when he was 13. He couldn't handle it because it brought up so much pain for him. And so I just said, don't talk to me until you can see it differently, because my life depends on how I feel. that I have to feel good, otherwise I'm gonna fall apart. So it was just all about how I felt. So, when things would come up and they would like make me wanna feel sorry for myself, or I should have seen this and done something like the blame, the shame, all that crap that's coming at you all the time, other people's thoughts. I just said, how do I feel? Yeah, how do I wanna feel? I wanna feel peace and joy. So then I went into my body and shifted. And I learned how to shift to the point where it was like instant. I would feel anything that wasn't in complete harmony with peace and joy, and I learned how to shift like that. Like I could do it in 2 seconds.
Can I say something? One of the things that brings up for me is you created, it became a discipline for you.
Right.
It became a regular thing, which is another piece that it's really important at this time, is to create some sort of practice or discipline around finding that state of being, connecting to the state of being, because it's not, I think we can make choices, and that's a part of the human part, but if you can connect to the state of being that's within every one of us, what does that look like? It's stopping and surrendering, maybe a form of meditation, a form of mindfulness. That word came up, for some people. Yes.
Anytime that I find myself in the middle of a reactive kind of thing, any kind of block of any sort, I always stop and take a deep breath, first thing I do, and say, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, because we are. And that leads me into, if depending on how deep it is, I go into, I have no fear. And those are my statements that settle me back into who I am and center me into who I am, which is spirit.
And that's been something that you've created, I would imagine, over time, right? You've created that
But it's
that
my
process.
initial reaction is, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And then I go from there. I check it out, I see what lessons I'm supposed to learn from it. I choose how to react to it, just like you. And I don't choose to draw negative toward myself.
Can I just repeat one thing you said that I think is amazing? My life depends on how I feel.
That's the
And
key.
we do have control of that. I think that's profound.
Yeah, and I mean, when I was in that state of total awareness, I felt so connected to spirit, and miracles were happening all around me, yet it was the most devastating time. But I was so clear that my life depended on how I feel. And now I'm not, because, it's not like a peak experience, like that was a peak experience. But that has been the most devastating and illuminating, life-changing in a positive way experience that I have ever experienced it.
Thank you for sharing that. 'Cause
Let's
those
all take a
words will
breath
always
with that.
be with me.
And I rarely tell anybody about this, so.
Let's all take a breath with my life depends upon how I feel. One more. So that's a beautiful segue into remembering that part of embodying peace is we have to be able to feel peace. We have to be able to feel the not peace when it comes up, because if we don't, we may not know that it's there. We may just completely shut it out. Oh, I don't want to feel that I'm not peaceful right now. I don't want to feel that I'm afraid right now. We're just going to go. I think probably everyone in here has probably had, the areas in your life where those walls have been built from life experience, where it's like, I'm not safe feeling that. But that is truly what our feelings are all about. They're all about giving us the indicators in this human experience of what's going on. They're a mirror of our thoughts. If we're feeling something, we have a belief system that's aligned with it on some level. So what a beautiful thing to remember, that my life depends upon my feelings.
And that I can choose the way I feel. And once we know how to do that, so I work with my daughter-in-law on what does it mean for you to feel peace and joy? Where is it in your body? How can you access that? So when you get to these feelings of desperation, you can choose, but you gotta practice it when you're not in that state. And then you choose, and it's okay to wallow once in a while, and we like to do that, get into drama. But it's no fun when you know that you're the creator of your experience, and you can change it. It kind of gets boring after a while.
So I want to go around the circle and everyone just say something, even if it's just a reminder. If you don't practice it every day, what's one thing in your life that allows you to come back to center, to calm, and have that interconnection? I'll start. It can be any type of meditation, or just being outside immediately will create that connection.
Some music.
I have just a little mantra that I say to my angels and my guides, and that I say it all day long, in the morning, before I go to bed, and all day.
Beautiful.
And I use the mantras.
I choose to be grateful.
That's big.
Music.
My breathing that I do outside every morning.
I choose what I focus on. What I can do positive, that's what I go to. And try not to wallow too long when I can't do anything about it.
For me, it's opening my heart and feeling love and emanating it out.
I go to my bowls.
They're beautiful.
And I have little mantras. God is the only power that is, and that kind of brings me back when I tend to. I do that a lot, so I need a lot of.
Touching a tree and thinking of my dog and being grateful for what I have.
I have had to do what you say. I mean, I had to get myself together again. And I do it by saying, be still and know that I am God. And I am there. When you get yourself out of the way, I'm still there.
That's cool.
Oh, it took me a while to believe me. I was like, oh.
Prayer.
I walk in the woods with my dogs in the morning. So, that brings me back.
I go to myself, things like that. So remember that peace can only come from a lack of peace.
Every morning before I have breakfast, I light a candle on sage and get centered and meditate and pray.
Beautiful. Remembering that was a statement of part of the times that we're moving into, is remembering that this human experience, the outer world is a duality, but the inner world is not a duality, which is what you were stating too. That we have this duality, but we have the ability, by using the methods, everyone has their own methods. Maybe you heard a method from somebody else you'd like to try. Maybe this is a reminder to go to your method more right now, to access that peace which is permanent. Because, as you said, it's this human aspect that lets us experience the not peace.
May I share something?
Yes.
I think is appropriate for today. I have a book called The Nine Kingdoms that was written in the late 50s. And it refers to the 9 vibrations of love as a living thing. That love is actually a living thing, and there's different frequencies and vibrations of it. And because of what you said today, I'm realizing that peace is probably also a word that, as we incorporate bits of different levels of something into us, we understand how multifaceted it is. And what kept popping in my head was the peace puzzle, is that we're not gonna get it overnight. But if, like, I love looking at a flower. Nothing brings me more calm probably than just looking at a flower. And so if you start putting together your peace puzzle with little bits of it, then your being will incorporate those frequencies and you can tap into it easier. So try to allow yourself the time it takes to build your personal puzzle. And the word perception has popped up here a lot today. And I find that because of what you said, your reality was different than those other people. And if we can look at our perception of something and separate it from what our reality is, it'll help us, I think, in achieving the peace, because perception is such a human, mental thing. And I think we trick ourselves with our perception of something. And I'm not gonna blame anybody, but we're taught how to perceive from the time we're children, whether it's church, family, the dogma of society, you know. Do we adopt all those perceptions? No, we find our own reality and live through that. And I think through that you'll find your peace. I must be chatty today.
Beautiful. It's a lovely sharing time. Let's all take a moment, close our eyes. It's just a moment to connect, go deeper within to the inner world. It's also a time to remember that our human self, if we allow it to be supported, that the earth is always underneath our feet, that we have all of each other around us to lean upon if we allow it. I invite you just to go within your own self for a moment. And anything that has been on your heart, to just connect with it for a minute. Just maybe you've had some experiences that keep circling back in your life, whether it's emotions or thoughts, and that it's really calling for you to listen. For you to step into your heart space and greet whatever that is, reminding yourself that it is safe for you to feel. We ask our beautiful angels and spiritual messengers and guidance that are with us today to support you in this most important next piece that is arising within you, to integrate, to appreciate, to see for what it is, both humanly and the bigger picture, that you are perfectly okay exactly where you are. You don't need to be where anyone else is. Just pick one thing that arises in your heart. The first feeling that maybe you've been running from this last week. We're going to go around the room while you hold that. We're going to invite this energy into a deeper acceptance within your whole being. I'm going to play the drum a little bit, just letting that beat just allow you to go into that space within your body. That it's safe to feel deep within your belly. And now I'm going to invite you to really scoop this feeling up. Scoop it up with love to the best that you can, whatever you can reach for at this particular moment. Scoop that energy that's calling for your attention right now. Just allowing yourself to embrace it to the best of your ability. Knowing that you're supported by all of the divine within you and around you. And let's all take one nice deep breath in through the nose, all the way down into the belly. And then a nice exhale through the nose. Feeling this love and acceptance and integration with each breath. Let's breathe one more time together. Nice exhale. And then the very last one more deep breath down into that belly, beautiful belly of yours. Feeling that whatever this is okay, safe and secure. You're totally safe and secure to bring and act upon this next step. And so it is. Let's all put our hands on our heart for a moment. Take a breath into your hands, into your heart center. And another. Remind yourself that you are safe. And that even though if it feels like you're alone at times, that you are never truly alone. One last inhale all the way down deep into the belly through the nose. And then cannon fire exhale out the mouth. So it is. sing us out of the bowl.
And it's great, we're in big circles, right? I'll give everybody right at the throat.
So I'll take one last breath and breathe. And I keep hearing that we need to leave today remembering that we can laugh at any time. So I invite us all to bring a little giggle into the room for no reason whatsoever, other than just that we can.
Has anyone ever had a laughing fit that you couldn't stop laughing? You ended up on the floor just laughing and doesn't that, and your belly hurts, but you can't help it and you're still laughing.
It's usually in an inappropriate place.
Yes, I know, and it just comes over you and you don't, and you know, and just, it doesn't matter what anybody says, it's just so doggone funny and you're just laughing and you can't stop. Oh, it just feels so good afterwards. It just feels so good.
What a beautiful balance, because we worked a lot on just connecting with our sacral chakra, where our feelings, where we store our feelings, and then letting them go, letting them move, letting them have a place, letting them have need to be expressed and have a place in the world.
Thank you.
Isn't it wonder how spirit works?
Always
I asked this
perfect.
morning, I said, okay, which one? And they said, throat. I said, no righty. It's gotta have something to do with that. Yes, it worked out perfect.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing.
Thanks.
Oh, and I have an announcement. I have an announcement. It's been on Facebook. I got an email on it. Patricia Cota Robles is in on this. James Tywin, I mispronounced his name. They're asking for global meditation tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time till 7:15. Raise the vibrational frequency of this election and government. The whole world is getting in on this. It's going global to raise the frequency, which as much love, as much light as you can put into this between 7 and 7:15 tonight.
Political peace.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said yours before mine. I wore this today.
You got the
in honor
Indians, yes.
of what's happening.
North Dakota,
Which is
yes.
not getting nearly enough airtime. I didn't know this till I got a Facebook post about it, but what's happening right now, it's, of course, it's the first time like 150 tribes in thousands of years have come together to
United.
fortify its voice. This is the 8th prophecy of the Hopi and Lakota prophecies. It is about when the black snake crosses the river, it'll be the end of the world. All other 7 prophecies of these nations have come true. Metaphorically, the black snake is this oil pipeline that's coming across the Missouri River. And I didn't know this till I watched this 20-minute video on YouTube, but they're going under the river, under the aquifer. Well, the Missouri River supplies the water for about a third of the country. So it's not just about the fact that they're plowing up their
Sacred.
ground.
Yeah.
It's not just about that. They're doing everything in peace, and it's for the whole country. It is not just this. And while we were so blindsided by the Keystone Pipeline, I never heard a word about the Dakota Pipeline. And so I would like to ask during that 15 minutes if you put some of it.
Yeah, do it for the
Put that in
for the
there,
Dakota
too.
and all of the Indian nations, all of the indigenous.
And it's our water.
It's our life.
It is the source of everything.
It's our
So
life,
It's not
exactly.
just about them.
Yeah, right.
And they're doing this for all of us.
Exactly. Yeah, they are. Yeah, so lift them up too.
Thank you.
And it's all from the government, so let's, yeah.
It is all for the government.
It is, so we need to lift up the governments so their eyes are open and stop all the greed.
These people are being surrounded by SWAT type team.
Oh, yeah, we don't even wanna get into that yet.
No, it's a whole other
I've been
level
sending
of
it all over
wrong.
Facebook about the pipeline.
I have too.
Everybody, yes, yeah.
So
PBS is the only station that has said anything about it, public broadcasting. So kudos to them.
I actually
Yeah.
saw a little bit on NBC one morning.
You did?
I did.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it on the making.
I've They put little spits of it.
Can you explain what's
I
going on?
have seen it on telephone.
I haven't seen anything about it.
Um,
So what is it?
There's a pipeline